All right, Toby, we are live, sir.
Excellent. For everybody tuning in, thank you for being here for Reading and Research Night live on Ether Cosmology, Space Audits, and Anti Disinfo League. Tonight, we are going to do kind of jump around through a few random subjects here. We're going to read Einstein talking about the theory of special relativity in his own paper. And then we're going to read some work from Michael Brenner on Quora answers. So to get started here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Einstein letter, and we're going to read that, and then we'll move forward. And real quick, the weekly disclaimer that I throw out there on Thursday nights. This is not necessarily a presentation night. We're not here to make things fun for you necessarily. We're doing live reading, live research. This is for us to dive into topics live on the spot, kind of give you a glimpse into how we do our research. Versus on Tuesday nights, we do presentations here on Ether Cosmology during the Ether roundtables. So there's your disclaimer, and now we will start reading.
Hey, before we get into that real quick, Shane is going to be debating Ozian on Modern Day Debates on Tuesday. We're going to do a live watch party and after show on Tuesday for that.
Debatism now, but yeah.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. On debatism. Sorry, not a live watch party. Then we'll be watching it. we'll watch it on here, together on Discord, and then we'll do an after party or whatever. Talk about it.
Yes.
You guys gonna go on the after show and talk to Ozian, tell him why he got wrecked?
No, absolutely not. But
Probably
we will.
not.
But we will have a good time and hang out with Shane afterwards. So everyone's welcome to come out for that. So I think they have a specific subject matter too. Shane, what is it again?
Ooh, yeah, gravity and electrostatics, a little bit of ether. So,
Nice. Okay, so gravity, electrostatics, and ether. So they're going to be taking that argument to its maximum potential, dude. Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do an after show here. We'll watch here live on the Discord, and then we'll keep notes, and we'll just go over our notes at the end live with a show. We'll live stream that, kind of like we did with Witzit's recent stream with Ozian.
Yep. Nice, should be fun.
So cool. Give me just 1 second.
All right. While he's doing that, we'll plug Flat Earth Fridays too. So tomorrow, 8 p.m. will be Flat Earth Friday. Or wait, is tomorrow Friday? Yeah, it is. Dang, Thursday's already Thursday. So tomorrow, 8 p.m. Flat Earth Friday. We'll be doing that. And then Sunday, we're doing, Toby, what is it? Bring your own Brenner comp. So
yes,
we're going to be
Sunday,
doing
I think we're going to shoot for 8 p.m. on Sunday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. Bring your own Brenner comp. What that means is we're going to read a couple of his answers tonight, his Quora answers. That's Michael Brenner. And Brenner comp is just a kind of a colloquial term we've come up with around here for a question that's been posed and then the answer from Michael Brenner. We call them that because New Perspective put together a bunch of compilations of Michael Brenner's questions and answers. And so we know them as Brenner compilations.
And they can be found on Earth Awakenings channel under Brenner compilations.
Yeah,
that's right. And we have some here as well on the Ether Cosmology Discord server. But yeah, everyone should go jump on Earth Awakenings. And yeah. So there you go. So anyways, back to business. Albert Einstein on the theory of on the relativity problem, originally published as Zum Relativitas Problem in Scientia 15, 1914, pages 337 to 348, reprinted in the Collected Papers of Albert Einstein, Volume 4, Document 31. An English translation is given in its companion volume. After two eminent specialists have presented their objections to relativity theory in this journal, it must not be undesirable for the readers if an adherent of this new theory, of this new theoretical direction, expounds his view. This shall be done as concisely as possible in the following. Currently, we have to distinguish between two theoretical systems, both of which fall under the name relativity theory. The first of these, which we will call Relativity theory, in the narrower sense, is based on a considerable body of experience and is accepted by the majority of theoretical physicists to be one of the simplest theoretical expressions of these experiences. The second, which we will call relativity theory, or in relativity theory in the broader sense, is as yet by no means established on the basis of physical experience. The majority of my colleagues regard the second system either skeptically or dismissively. Should be said immediately that one can certainly be an adherent of the relativity theory in the narrower sense without admitting the validity of relativity theory in the wider sense. For that reason, we will discuss the two theories separately. Relativity theory in the narrower sense. It is well known in the equations of the mechanics established by Galileo and Newton are not valid with respect to an arbitrarily moving coordinate system. If one adheres to the requirement that the description of motion admits only central forces satisfying the I law of equality of action and reaction. But if the motion is referred to the coordinate system k, such that Newton's equations are valid in the indicated sense, then that coordinate system is not the only one with respect to which those laws of mechanics hold. Rather, all of the coordinate systems k prime with an arbitrary spatial orientation have uniform translational motion with respect to k, have the property that relative to them the laws of motion hold. We call the assumption of the equal value of all these coordinate systems k, k prime, etc., for the formulation of the laws of motion. Actually, for the general laws of physics, the relativity principle in the narrow sense. As long as one believed that classical mechanics lies at the foundation of the theoretical representation of all processes, one could not doubt the validity of this relativity principle. But even abstaining from that, it is difficult from an empirical standpoint to doubt the validity of that principle. In fact, if it did not hold, then the processes of nature referred to a reference system at rest with respect to the Earth would appear to be influenced by the motion velocity of the Earth's yearly orbital motion around the sun. The terrestrial space of observations would have to behave physically in an anisotropic manner due to the existence of this motion. But despite the most arduous searching, physicists have never observed such an apparent anisotropy. The relativity principle is hence as old as mechanics, and no one could have questioned its validity from an empirical standpoint. That it has been nonetheless doubted, and is again doubted today, is due to the fact that it seemed to be incompatible with Maxwell-Lorentz electrodynamics. Whoever is in a position to judge this theory in light of its inconclusiveness, the small number of its fundamental assumptions, and its successive representation of phenomena in the domain of electrodynamics and optics, will find it difficult to dispel the impression that the main features of this theory are as definitely established as are the equations of mechanics. It has also not been accomplished to set another theory against this one that could even tolerably compete with it. It is easy to specify wherein lies the apparent contradiction between Maxwell-Lorentz electrodynamics and the relativity principle. Suppose that the equations of that theory hold relative to the coordinate system k. This means that every light ray propagates in vacua with a definite velocity c with respect to k, which is independent of the direction of the state of motion of the light source. This proposition will be called the principle of the constancy of the speed of light in the following. Now, if one such light ray were to be observed by an observer moving relative to k, then the propagation speed of this light ray, as estimated from the standpoint of this observer, in general seems to be different than c. For example, if the light ray propagates in the direction of the positive in the direction of the positive x-axis of k with speed c, and our observer moves in the same direction with the temporally constant speed v, then one would believe that one can immediately conclude that the light wave's propagation speed must be c minus v according to the moving observer. relative to the observer, that is, relative to a coordinate system k prime moving with the same velocity, the principle of the constancy of the speed of light does not appear to hold. Hence, here is an apparent contradiction with the principle of relativity. So he knew about it. However, an exact analysis of the physical content of our spatial and temporal dimensions lead to the well-known result that the implied contradiction is only apparent, since it depends on both the following arbitrary assumptions. The assertion that whether two events occurring in different places occur simultaneously has content independently of the choice of a reference system. The spatial distance between the places in which two simultaneous events occur is independent of the choice of a reference system. So there you go. Problem solved. Aren't you happy now, physicists? He fixed it for you. So that's that little letter from Einstein.
Little hot, little a little patch, little hot fix.
Dude, I think
These are the patch
somebody
notes.
somebody on X already said exactly that today. That like they were like, oh well, we present another theory that has the predictive power that has never been presented, and we will switch over immediately. So that's what people still think, right?
Even Einstein knew it was a joke.
Yeah, did you say the title of that paper in German was La Jester?
Cool. So let's now move on from there. Let's actually, anyone have any questions or thoughts about that? Guess we kind of just covered that. So yeah, let's read some
I
Michael
do, bro.
Brenner.
Real
Oh,
quick,
go for it.
real
Yo.
quick.
Yeah, what up,
Yeah.
Peter?
So basically, he's saying like the only reason it appears that there's a contradiction is you're presuming this stuff's actually happening at the same time.
Yep, and in an absolute space. Yep.
Yep. And even though they make direct measurements with the difference in the speed of light, you know,
Even though I can
like
take
it's
my
like it's
ruler and
definitely
tell
not
you that,
apparent. Like, you know. Anyway.
even though it can all be measured in the lab frame using lab frame time.
Yep. Exactly, dude. And that's such a critical part there, right? Because how they set that up for the proposition is like, oh, it's just apparent. If we invoke a geometrically convenient position and with the you know, intersecting with the central axis of rotation, we can just hang out there and then do a time difference between the, you know, person rotating at the edge, right? And then they just look at it that way and they're like, yep, it's just an illusion.
Well, if there's ever any difference at any given time, you always presume the difference to be exactly the error that you got as in terms of a time dilation.
Well, in terms of like a ring laser gyro, they wouldn't have it as an error. That would be like their reading, right? But they just wouldn't internalize the meaningfulness of the fringe pattern, right? Because they don't say anything about that in the manual, right? It's like it just talks about how there's a time difference that produces it. It doesn't get into the specifics of what that implies or anything like that.
Did he ever address the anisotropy of the time or length difference?
No, he never commented on Sagnac or Michelson Gale Pearson. Even though he went to the construction site at Nicholson Gale. But yeah, he never commented on it or anything.
Do you think that the majority of the scientific community realizes that like the full explanation of your first order measurements showing a difference is that you're just too stupid because you didn't time dilate it?
Well, we went through a similar process with that someone, so yeah, I would say that they do think that. But I think we're gonna get to the Brenner comp now. We get comped up.
Yeah. Well, I was going to pull the paper back up, but yeah, we can jump into the Brenner comp. So yeah, this Quora question is, why do flat earthers say, or what do flat earthers say about star trail photography? Why don't they take time lapses of stars at the equator in the northern and southern hemisphere to prove the flat earth? So Michael Brenner says, Well, star trail photography is the ultimate vindication of a flat Earth realm over which light phenomena, which must be roughly in the same plane, rotate in lockstep around a center. Let's say you are a flea on a chicken rotating on a spit in a grill oven, and let's imagine this grill has pointy heat sources. Then the flea will see these points rise, moving to the zenith and set, and all these points, including himself, would lie in a plane, not matter where on the chicken it stands. His section of the chicken would always be a circle. It would be his equator. Similarly, there is no reason why a star that ends up dead overhead of you would rise north of you and set north of you. This star would rise dead east of you and set dead west of you. Would it be one star in billions amorphously spread around a vast three-dimensional space within which you are rotating? Below, an image taken on the equator with both poles visible, we clearly see the prismatic effect of the sky, because every latitude would be its own equator relative to distant stars in a 3D environment. Something similar can be done with rays of the sun.
What did he just say? That seemed profound.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's kind of saying that. I mean, the fact that it encloses in like that, right?
Every
is-
star would be an equator upon itself. So what? Hold on, wait. What did it say? We clearly see because every latitude would be its own equator relative to distant stars in any 3D environment. Wow.
Oh, dude.
I think
Right?
he's talking about you stand at any latitude, and that would be the visual equator. Whatever
Yes.
latitude you're on,
Yeah.
that would be
Right.
its own visual equator, right?
Right?
Can you screenshot that and put it in the chat?
Yeah, got you, Brody.
This is why we read Brenner comps.
Dude, that's such a good point, man. I was thinking about the equator the other day because it's the only point where they invoke perspective when it regarding the stars, right? They're like, that's produced what we're looking at on screen. Like that's produced by perspective, but not when you move away from them relative to the latitude, right? That's Earth curve.
Do they? They say that's perspective? That's so ridiculous.
It's the only time they say it.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and then
You're
so what Brenner pointed out, it's like you don't get to have this you don't get to perspective this and then not acknowledge the relationship that you derived and all that. But yeah, so what he was pointing out there is that at any latitude you should see this for your, like, what you see in the sky relative to your latitude. It should be like that. You should see a divergence based on perspective if it's due to if what we're seeing is due to globularity relative to the latty. That's
It's always
awesome.
a globe. Yeah,
Dude,
that's what
that's such a
stars would
good-
look like, dude.
Oh, I can't wait to. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I ask just a dumb question, right? In that picture you got right there, it looks like at the bottom of it, is that the horizon at the bottom of it?
I would assume so.
Yeah, this is like a fisheye
Yeah,
effect.
definitely.
It's also the
fisheye.
horizon on the top.
Okay, so
See,
why
there's
are
light
the
up there too?
again? I'm totally new, but like, why are the stars going north to south or up and down?
Because the camera's pointed, oriented up, down, east, west.
Okay. I
Yeah,
don't know.
this
It's
is like
looking
a
straight
super
up.
wide angle shot.
It's a big dome lens, and you can see north, south, east, and west. You can see land all the way around, right? It's like what they shoot for planetarium footage and stuff for SARS.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I
you
get.
can think
Oh, I'm
of-
sorry.
you can think of- no, you're good. You can think of like half of a 360 cam, kind of.
The
Yeah,
dome
but
cam?
but it's supposed to be on a plane, right? So wouldn't that be flipped 90 degrees, like rotated 90 degrees? Or
No, it's a fisheye lens, so that's the effect that you're getting.
so
His
it
point is
rotates
that
it.
it makes it like the curve.
This is your entire
that you're
azimuthal
getting.
grid squished flat.
Right. No, I'm not talking
Yeah.
about that. I'm talking about like versus, so like take this, rotate it 90 degrees. You see what I'm saying? Like the star trails, like going left and right versus up and down.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what your point is, though. What would that do?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Okay. Well, we're kind of just reading through it. If you have something like that can make a little bit more like an objection to it all, try to just keep track of it so we don't get too off base when we're trying to get through the reading of it. But
Yeah, let's just read.
yeah, let's just keep going. Keep that in mind though for later, because we'll talk about all of this after we're done reading it. It's not really like stop and have discussion too much.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Sorry, guys.
No, I mean, yeah,
No,
you're all good, man.
No, you're
No,
good.
it's all
Just,
good.
just trying to understand it. That's all. My
No,
bad.
you're straight, bro.
This guy's cool though. He's a Glober. He's just learning. He's new to flat Earth. He says he's totally psyched to be on our team. He just needs to get over the hump.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, dude, you're no pressure either way. You just take your time and, do your research. Don't let anyone pressure you one way or the other.
I told him
Yeah,
as soon as you can steel man the plane's not being able to land and fly over a spinning ball, then he'll be over the hump.
And then you follow the course of Dave.
Yeah,
All right.
I've DM'd him all of the links.
All right. Well, we we interrupted him. Let's not talk about him now that we interrupted him. Let's read. So, something similar can be done with the rays of the sun, which we now have only one source, i.e., one pole, but we see two. Below, a panoramic view capturing solar point and anti-solar point. But we know, of course, that we only have the solar point and that the anti-solar point is a prismatic artifact. So is Antipolaris.
Damn, dude, this dude's on top of it.
Only if the stars are pretty much arranged two-dimensionally, rotating in lockstep, can the above star trail image emerge on a photoplane or a photoplate. Now, yes, stars will rise in the north of your position, move overhead of you into their zenith, and then continue to set in the north of you position again. Another huge problem are the fantasy distances. Take the guiding figure of the summer triangle, for instance, made up of the stars Deneb, Altair, and Vega, a figure that has guided people for thousands of years unaltered. The maximum difference in their alleged dissonance in their alleged distances is between Deneb and Altair, and that difference is a whopping what do we got? Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, zillions. So 1 zillion 300
1.3 quadrillion.
a 1.3 zillion. Thank you,
I
sir.
forgot zillions was real.
1.3 quadrillion kilometers is between. So that was between Deneb and Altair. When you move past two light sources with this difference in distance, they do not change relative position. You have to infer first that they have absolutely no velocity relative to each other, and second, that they both follow our own movement rigidly, which both clearly are preposterous propositions. Now, because no star changes relative to position to other stars, we must assume this rigidity for the entirety of the visible, allegedly 3 bio light year deep universe all around us. 3 bio. What does he mean by that?
13 billion.
Okay, gotcha. A special star trail is, of course, the trail of the sun, postulated to be the result of the trail of an orbiting Earth. A rigid rotating body constitutes a gyroscope which will at all costs keep orientation in space, and thus the noon point at one time of the year will be the evening point 3 months later, then the midnight point, the morning point, and then after completing 360 degrees again, the noon. But the noon point remains all year round, as sundials demonstrate, none of which have swivels incorporated in their design. Well, wait, what?
You missed a noon. The noon point remains noon.
Wait, what is their? How do they explain that?
This is something Eric Dubay talked about a couple of years ago in one of his own vids. It's just talking about how the orientation of the Earth is towards a certain direction of the stars, and that exactly 6 months later, it's if the Earth is still oriented in the same direction, noon's on the other side of the Earth.
Because it's
Yeah, you
tilted,
should be looking
right?
at a different set of stars. Arguably, you should be looking at a totally different set of stars besides the sun.
Hmm.
So you would have to turn your what is that called again?
Sundial or your moon?
Sundial. Yeah. You'd have to literally turn it, right, Stan?
No, it's a bit of a mathematical piece of sleight of hand, really. That what is exactly 6 months later and 180 days? What is the number of seconds that we have creep in the day by the time we go through 6 months? It's just anti-rotation. Globies can slip under the wire with that kind of stuff, and they frequently do.
The old wire slip, dude. I hate that.
So yeah, here's Brenner saying, "Don't let yourself be fooled by fancy terms like sidereal day and such, because the backdrop has nothing to do with the relation between Earth and Sun, and this relation is 15 degrees to the hour, no less and no more." The fact that your Rolex ticks 86,400 times noon to noon and does so reliably throughout the year, always indicating noon as having the sun in the zenith, is alone a devastating blow to the orbital model. The desperate attempt to introduce the stars as argument is simply out of place. First, because according to model, we have a was it hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, 3.7 trillion or 3.8 trillion kilometer void around us, which makes the stars completely irrelevant to a discussion about the relation between Earth and Sun. And second, because the measurements are against such argument. The sun is overhead exactly every 24 times 15 degrees and equals 360 degrees and not 360 degrees minus 0.986 degrees. And that means, of course, that the sun keeps a constant 24-hour orbital period around us and not vice versa. Wow. Yeah.
Dude attacks it so simply, but like,
Right. It's
damn.
just like going back to level one and just realizing how many insane assertions you already just took for granted.
And how many things we already accept when we try to debunk it. Like we're already
Yep.
accepting
Yep.
40% of
Yep.
it when we're trying
Yep.
to debunk it. It's crazy.
That's why I love Brenner. Yeah. That's why I said I was comparing Stone to him the other night. But yeah, so sun, moon, and wandering stars, i.e., planets from GR, planets from what is this? Greek. Thank you. I.e., planets from Greek, planetes, wanderer, are phenomena independent of the rigid rotating star canopy. And it is important to notice that the sun is not and has never been associated with being a star. It is and always has been the sun. To call the sun a star is a newfangled fancy unrelated to observed reality. On the other hand, the planets are like stars, but they are not rigid like the others, they are wandering. Otto Nussbauer. The popular belief that the Copernicus's heliocentric system constitutes a significant simplification of the Ptolemaic system is obviously wrong. The choice of the reference system has no effect on the structure of the model and the Copernican models themselves require about twice as many circles as the Ptolemaic models and are far less elegant and adaptable. Modern historians, making ample use of the advantage of hindsight, stress the revolutionary significance of the heliocentric system and the simplification it has introduced. In fact, the actual computation of the planetary positions follows exactly the ancient patterns of the results, and the results are the same. The Copernican solar theory is definitely a step in the wrong direction for the actual computation as well as the underlying kinematic concept.
Shout out to what's his name?
Mic drop.
So
Yeah.
so let me
Damn.
So basically, when we observe the sun day by day at its zenith, calculated proportional to your latitude and its yearly position, it always crests like latitude relative noon at the same time every day. And so like because of that, there's this whole like shift between a sidereal day and a solar day should after 6 months cause us to see what?
I mean, he put a
Noon
little
should shift
graphic.
to night.
He put a
I'm
little
only listening
graphic
to
that
you
I was
guys.
trying.
I'm
I was
sorry.
trying to explain. Scroll back up a little bit, Toby, to answer that question.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Oh wait, no. More.
Up one, or yeah,
More.
right
More.
there.
This one right there. That's supposed to explain it.
Yeah, I know that part, but I'm saying like we do see different stars throughout the year. So I guess he's talking about the sundial, the physical sundial.
We don't see completely different stars. We see a different zodiac, which has processed into our visibility from around the sun, from the difference from 4 minutes in sidereal and solar, right? It's very different than a whole new set of. It's like what Brother Sanchez was trying to argue with FTFE. There should be a whole other zodiac wheel on the bottom of the ball instead of everyone seeing. I think that's what he's saying.
Oh wow, I never thought of it like that.
I guess invoking a physical sundial is saying that like he's saying throughout the year the position of noon on a sundial should change too, because we should have to tilt this. We should have to rotate the sundial proportionally to how much the axial tilt of the Earth is changing as we go around to the sun.
Yeah, he mentioned the ratio. Where was it? Right here. So there's almost a 1 degree. It should be like a degree every day.
Yeah, because the sundial
Yes,
is pointing
not quite a
just like
degree for 365 days, right? Not quite a
Oh,
degree
thank you.
for
Yeah, yeah,
365.
yeah.
That's why.
yeah.
So-
So basically the sundial would act just like a pole. If we stuck a pole through the axis of the Earth, the sundial is like an arbitrary axis sticking out of the Earth. It's like a tetherball pole, right? Casting a shadow. I mean, so if the Earth is tilting, so is the sundial.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, it just conveniently makes it look like we're in the center.
Yeah, I mean, it would imply that the sun's moving around us. Otherwise, because that's why we don't have to change the sundial.
Yep.
Oh my God, so basic.
So basic, yeah. So yeah, there you go. Any other questions or thoughts on that one before we go into Antarctica?
Yeah, can you
Just
send the
one.
link to that real quick, please?
Of course.
And it's kind of in defense of the globies and the math that they put out. I was looking at this when I put together the video about the sun, that this 15 degrees per hour is actually a net computation. They're talking about the rotational speed of the Earth combined with its revolutionary change day to day
Well-
around the sun. And they're calling that exactly 15 degrees. But what I find is I don't know. Is it exactly 15? Is it this 15 or that 15? What we really plot is the analemma. So I don't know. Their math on that particular account seems to work out. It's not one that I.
Yeah, you have
that I got
you have a
behind
more
on.
elegant breakdown of it, really.
But I should probably tell you guys. I was talking to Pizio about this. When you do eclipses and you try to predict eclipses, right? They do this problem is delta t, the time. They call it terrestrial time. So literally, like they're unsure of the rate of the spin of the Earth going back in time. So when you go like 2,000 years back and you do like the rate as a constant, it doesn't add up for them. They couldn't figure it out. So they have this huge problem called delta t, which is literally built around the variable speed of the Earth spin. So that's probably relevant, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so I would say like Stone has a video where he talks specifically about this relationship of the Earth spin and the speeding and slowing of the orbit. Really, it's kind of 2 videos, isn't it? So this is kind of like a level
No,
one.
it's a couple thoughts about the sun, just what you're talking about there. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that would be a better breakdown of this. But this is kind of like the level 1 look at it of the, the stuff we take for granted of what they tell us about this.
No, absolutely. Like I was saying, it's exactly the point that Eric Dubé made in a very similar in a video just about that. And it has the same graphic with the 4 positions of the Earth, and yeah, it's another one of his quote proofs.
So there we go. All right,
Can
let's
I
move
just
on.
add? Well,
Oh,
I'd
yeah?
like to add that New Perspective gave a good tip the other day. He said that it's very beneficial to read Brenner's comments to his own videos.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
more gravy in there.
Yes, actually, not only that, if you have a specific question about this, you can go ask him because he seems to be pretty good still to this day about responding to those
Yeah.
comments.
He's responding to these guys, these trolls that just keep attacking him.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, the
And
trolls
he'll
come
go
in
back
like
and forth paragraphs.
He never stops. Yeah, he
Paragraph.
pretty much
Dude.
answers everything.
I wouldn't answer that first one. Okay, then explain. Okay, done. Like I've already done that attitude is done. He goes in
Yeah.
and explains it to that person too. What a
Yeah,
champion.
look at all the responses there.
So yeah, there's a lot more you can go through on all of these.
Crazy. I started actually taking screenshots of the comments too to begin with, and I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm just doing.
You should just record it. You record like a stream, one comment stream via OBS, like all the way down. See all the effort he puts in and all the answers.
Seriously.
Like having a little
Cool.
cheat sheet. Before we start the next link or the next one, can you send the link as well?
Yeah.
There.
Absolutely.
Ooh, is it illegal to go to Antarctica? I'm glad there's a Brenner deep dive on this, so I don't have to really do it.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped. When I noticed
Yeah,
it.
I did leave that one for others to do. Okay.
If that one's linkable, 1 second. Yep. True. All right, cool. All right, go ahead, sir.
So, is it illegal to go to Antarctica? If so, why is that? Is there any secret? So this is in the context of him responding while there's already other answers that he's in the midst of. So that's why he's kind of starts off here by saying, everyone here in the answers says it's not illegal and that they've been there, watched the penguins, and even swam in the ocean. That's fine. You have been to an icy place where guides showed you around, but try to launch a private expedition just to go and have a look why ships are sending signals from 78 degrees south, for instance, and you'll hit the legal wall in a hurry with a loud thump. So here's the 78 degrees south position. Has any of you guys in the answers bragging about having been to Antarctica been here? And he points to, wow, what is this?
78 degrees south. Wait,
Hundreds of miles inland is what it is.
That's absolutely not traversable.
but go back to the first picture. Or no, scroll the one on the coast right there
Oh,
you were looking at. Fishing. So it says that that's 78 degrees south on the satellite.
78 degrees south, 88 west.
Okay.
And then this one was
87 west.
yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's comparing Google Earth with the satellite view on the ship.
That's coming south to the west of South America as it comes down. You'd be coming down the Chile side to hit that.
Gotcha.
I think he's pointing out the discrepancy between the satellite position given by the boat and what's on Google Earth.
Or just what's going on here? Why was anyone here?
Well, that's
And what
water,
is
and that's
this?
way
The,
inland.
the mere
oh,
distance
he's-
between them.
He's talking about how the boats appear inland sometimes because of the freaking compression when they do the cylindrical projection down, which is done with the Mercator, right? It warps the pole. So when they try to put people actually in the pole, they get this ridiculousness. And people always point it out. I think that's what it is.
Oh,
To be
well,
a
I mean,
fishing boat inside of
I mean,
Antarctica.
those are almost the exact same coordinate. You can look at the lines on that second picture and see where the slight half-degree difference would put you. It would put you almost right on the arrow. So if that's saying position received by satellite is that dot and it's 78 south, 88 west, and he's got 78 south, 87.5 west, there's no way that those two are congruent. Like that's a discrepancy. It's a huge discrepancy.
Just think about the Gleason map to the globe and how the outer reaches get so stretched and warped, right? Because
So here's this continent, right? Here's this continent here. And then there it is right here. Or peninsula, not kind of. Sorry, peninsula. So it does look, and then this would be this. This is that curve. Is this right here?
But notice they're the same declination south, and only half a degree off west, which is left to right, not north south. So like, one's out in the ocean and one's way inland. There's a huge
No, see,
southward
this is
discrepancy.
supposed to be the land line right here.
But my point is that dot that says position received by satellite, that dot with a circle is 7888. It gives it the coordinate to you right there.
Yeah.
Now look at that. Where's that dot? That dot would be out in the ocean, but on the Google Earth, it's way into land in the coast.
But here it's inland too.
No, the gray part is water.
No,
White
no, no.
part.
This is the land. This is the land.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, it's north up.
Oh, I thought the white was the
That's what I'm
land
trying
and
to
the
show you.
gray's
See,
the
this is
water.
See, this is you
Oh,
got
the white is where the boats are in the water.
Yeah. So you got see the continent here. That's this continent, or this. Sorry, the peninsula. This is this peninsula here.
Oh, why did they make
is
the
this
continent white? That's
peninsula here.
confusing.
Yeah, it
Or the
confused
water
me for a
white.
second at first too. So it
That's
says
typical.
fishing, so it's weird because there's a fishing boat that's getting this location,
I
and
see.
then you look at that location, and it's this weird mountain. So like someone was there or something was there.
Right.
Said it was fishing. But yeah, so let's move on. So if any of you guys, if any of you guys bragging about having been to Antarctica, been here. Pity, because you could have asked the fishing vessel for prime Antarctic fish and posted great pictures from a green and ice-free Antarctica while you were at it. Or what about here? So this would be inland again, right? Yeah, it's inland.
What's the
Destination Argentina. So this is no coordinates on this one. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
72 south, 36 east. Huh. Pity, because you could have put up a protest flag against a dirty tanker cruising at 8 KTS. What is that?
Knots.
Knots. Thank you.
Yeah,
The,
knots, yep.
the nautical equivalent of sky miles. Yep.
So 8 knots through obviously ice-free waters, whereas you had to disinfect your shoes and walking sticks in order to keep Antarctica pristine.
wow. That's where that is right there on the.
Has any of you private, this is a really short answer here. Has any of you private guided Antarctic explorers asked yourself why Google Earth doesn't show a photo of the Antarctic ice cover, but a photoshopped white surface? And vice versa, an obviously photoshopped ice-free Arctic? So there you go.
That's why they don't let people there. They got to keep it clean to match the photos. It makes sense.
Well, it's because of the penguins, I thought, not because of the photos. But maybe they're the same.
No.
So it wasn't necessarily the deep dive. It was just just the snarky, like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about type of thing.
So you have like a link to all his Quora answers. Can you go to his profile and see it?
Yeah. He's got like 400 something at this point. Yeah, 432. And it's fun if you go. I like to look at this. You go to his question. You go back to when did he pose this question? It was like 7 years ago or something like that. What are the hard physics of a gravitational collapse of a cloud of gas in space? The gas laws and thermodynamics don't seem to support it.
Dude, that's galactic accretion, right? Isn't that what they're asking?
Yeah,
How does-
essentially. And it's hilarious because you see people start answering.
You can
And
see
he
the replies.
responds to all of them. Wait, where are the? I hate the way this webpage is organized.
Yeah, scroll up again. And then see the 3 white
Here we
dots. Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, there he is, right there at the bottom. Oh yeah, you got it.
So here's someone, I can't say I understand what you're talking about. Perhaps you can clarify. And then he tries to clarify, and then they try to respond. And then he's like, well, wait, you're not making sense. Well, hold on.
Goes so hard. Oh my god. I would have
Yeah.
gave up like 7 comments ago, to be honest.
And then, yeah, so I think this is like literally when he's, I don't know. My guess is this may be when he started to question things. And then he starts that was his one question, and then 432 answers.
He asked one question and nobody could answer it, so he started answering everyone else's questions. Huh.
How close is alchemy to being a real thing? What is that?
Oh, that's his latest one, or one of his latest ones.
Well, yeah. So how about someone else want to read one?
Sure.
This one's pretty long. I would say
My gosh.
maybe not
Well,
that one.
it's very interesting. It's crystals, bro. Come on.
All right.
Right.
I love
Fair
the
enough.
one where he gets into the characters that started anthropology and geology and all the dinosaur people. That one's great. Their careers before they started doing that was hilarious.
All
Oh,
right.
really? That sounds great.
Yeah, do you
Yeah,
have a
they just
link to that?
basically I'd have to find it one. They just basically declared themselves experts on this new science, and they were propped up, and boom, dinosaurs.
Nice.
So do you wanna pull it up and screen share it and read it, Piezo?
Yeah, sure. Where's the link?
I'm about to drop it right now.
Okay. All right. All right.
I mean, I
sharing.
can if you'd rather, but it'd be nice if you want to do it.
Y'all can see it.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
How close is alchemy to being a real thing? All right. Alchemy is the real thing, whereas chemistry is alchemy stripped of the metaphysical understanding of things. Kurt Gödel showed that there is no mathematics of everything without metamathematics, no physics of everything without metaphysics, and no chemistry of everything without metachemistry. And that kind of chemistry is called alchemy. To turn base metals into gold is and always has been a psychological process, not an alchemical, practiced by people who wanted to extract gold from the gullible rich. And in that respect, it worked just fine, for a while at least. By 1590, Edward Kelly was living an opulent lifestyle in Europe, enjoying the patronage of nobility. He received several estates and large sums of money from Rosenberg. Meanwhile, he continued his alchemical experiments until he had convinced Rudolph II that he was ready to start producing gold. Rudolph knighted him, Sir Edward Kelly of Emeny and New Leuben, on 23rd February 1590. But what goes around comes around, and Kelly eventually dies an ignominious death after trying to escape from prison where he had landed for failure of following through with his promise. Real masters of the trade did not hold gold in great esteem because it was inert, dead. It couldn't do anything, didn't react with anything. And what would a real philosopher do with a dead substance other than impress an ignorant and greedy crowd? To the eyes of the wise, iron, this pariah of human industry, is incomparably more noble than gold, and gold more despicable than lead. For this bright light, this ardent, active, and pure water that common metals, minerals, and stones have preserved, is lacking only in gold. This sovereign to which so many people pay homage, for which so many consciences demean themselves in the hope of obtaining its favors, has of wealth and preciousness only the clothes. A sumptuously dressed king, the gold is but an inert, albeit magnificent, body, a brilliant corpse compared to copper, iron, or lead. This usurper that an ignorant and greedy crowd raises to the rank of God cannot even claim to belong to the old and powerful family of metals. Stripped of its coat, it then reveals the baseness of its origin and appears to us as a simple metallic resin, dense, fixed, and fusible, a triple quality which renders it obviously improper to the realization of our objective. Thus, we can see how vain it would be to work on gold, for whoever has nothing can evidently give nothing. It is therefore to the raw and vile stone that we must address ourselves without repugnance for its miserable appearance, its disgusting odor, its black coloration, its sordid rags. For these same rather unattractive characteristics allow us to recognize it and caused people to always look at it as the primitive substance, issued from the original chaos. Drawn from the void, it bears its imprint and its name, nothing. But the philosophers have discovered that in its elementary and disorganized nature, consisting all of darkness and of light, of bad and of good, assembled in the work of confusion, this nothing contained all they could hope for. Fulcanelli. Well, that's a lot of stuff to say about nothing, but the driving substance of all chemistry throughout history has always been the green vitriol, the vitrioleum, the oil of glass, i.e., sulfuric acid. In ancient times, distilled from the green crystals of ferrous sulfate, a weathering product of sulfur pyrite. It is also important that to this day, a country's sulfuric acid production is a major indicator of its industrial strength. Sulfuric acid was the nuclear power of antiquity, as it represented condensed energy, and is actually way more dangerous. A drop of it on your skin will eat your flesh to the bones in seconds, whereas you can handle uranium and radium for years before feeling its effects. When you pour sulfuric acid over salt, you get spirit of salt, i.e., hydrochloric acid. And when you pour sulfuric acid over potassium nitrate, you get aquafortis, i.e., nitric acid. A combination of 1 part aquafortis and 3 parts spirit of salt produces aqua regia, a potent combination of acids which actually dissolves gold. The 3 key of Basil Valentine shows the process in alchemical imagery. We see a dragon in the foreground and a fox eating a rooster in the background. The rooster symbolizes gold from its association with sunrise and the sun's association with the gold, and the fox represents aqua regia, the repetitive dissolving, heating, and redissolving, the rooster eating the fox eating the rooster, leads to the buildup of chlorine gas in the flask. The gold then crystallizes in the form of gold chloride, whose red crystals Basil called the rose of our masters and the red dragon's blood. In a pure act of alchemy, George de Hevesy discovered the gold, or dissolved the gold, of 2 German Nobel Prizes of German physicists Max von Laue, 1914, and James Franck, 1925, in aqua regia to prevent the Nazis from confiscating them. After the war, de Hevesy returned to find the solution undisturbed and precipitated the gold out of the acid, which was then returned to the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences and the Nobel Foundation. They recast the metals and again presented them to Laue and Franck. The 4 acids, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, and aqua regia, were the powerful tools of alchemists as they allowed them to dissolve and separate most any matter into their compounds, from which they could choose to distill and purify whatever substance they needed in a specific case. Solve et coagula, meaning dissolve the fixed and coagulate the volatile. Another important substance was hydrogen sulfide, called liquor hepatis, or liquor hepatis, which was prepared by dissolving a solution of sulfur, lime, and sal ammoniac. Although toxic in gaseous form, to the Egyptians, the color or the odor of hydrogen sulfide symbolized the soul or a spiritized presence hidden within the liquid. Hepar equals liver, the seat of the soul. Therefore, they solidified that spiritized presence by adding wax and fat to liquor hepatis and turning it into a thick paste. The emulsion became known as the balsam of the alchemists or balsam of the soul, calling something that smells rotten eggs balsam, which we have come to associate with fragrance, may seem strange, but this only sheds light on the diluting effect of popularizing true knowledge. To a broad public, everything worthy must be glittery, shiny, and fragrant, while to the true adept it must perform, not shine and smell nice. What performs well looks good and smells good. The true alchemical balsam is hydrogen sulfide and mineral oil, liquid alkali, not etheric fragrances and organic oils. The distillation for liquor hepatis produced a combination of hydrogen sulfide, the chemical of death, hence antibiotic, antiseptic, and ammonia gases, the chemical of life. Nitrogen compounds, especially ammonia, are parts of the life cycle, as opposed to the sulfur cycle of death. Ammonia is blue and was associated with the blue Egyptian god Amun. Under the heading Pulvis Solaris, alchemists understood mercury and antimony compounds. Red Pulvis Solaris, red mercury oxide, which is used as an antiseptic in form of a mercuric disodium salt. White Pulvis Solaris, mercury chloride, way more toxic than red Pulvis Solaris, but still used as antiseptic in 1913. It is one of our most popular and effective household antiseptics, but so corrosive and poisonous that it should only be available by prescription. The product frequently caused accidental poisonings and was used as a suicide method. Black pulvis salaris is produced by simply grinding up naturally occurring antimony sulfide, or stibnite. In Egypt, this was called kohl and used as black eyeliner. In Arabic, al-kohl came to mean first powder of antimony, but then, finally, triturated materials in general, which then was also applied to liquids, and finally, mid-18th century came to mean refined spirits, or alcohol only. Sulfur auratum, or auratum, is a golden red antimony compound produced by cooking antimony sulfide, sulfur, sodium carbonate dissolved in water, and calcium hydroxide, after which sulfuric acid is added to precipitate sulfur auratum. Both antimony compounds have been used in cosmetics and medicine since times of ancient Egypt. Alums are double metallic salts of sulfuric acid, preferably the one-valence alkali metals like sodium and potassium, with three-valence metals like aluminum, iron, manganese, etc. Already in Egypt, these were used as disinfectants, anti-transpirants, as well as flame retarders and in the dyeing industry. How important alums were can be seen in the spectacular selling of the papal alum monopoly to the crown of England by Horatio Pallavicino after his conversion to Protestantism. That must have hurt in the Vatican. Natron is an important mineral in alchemy since ancient times and derives its name from Lake Natron in Egypt, where it was harvested. In the lake bed, it is a mixture of several sodium compounds, mostly sodium carbonate, washing soda, and sodium nitrate, chili saltpeter, with trace amounts of sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, sodium chloride, salt, sodium sulfate, potassium nitrate, saltpeter, potassium carbonate, potash, potassium sulfite, liver of sulfur, calcium sulfate, gypsum, phosphorus, and iron sulfide or pyrite. What is this black thing? Manetho, 3rd century BCE, for instance, describes a chemical procedure involving natron, which produced light, which no European alchemist managed to reproduce due to lack of the original Egyptian natron. William Dennis Hauck, after months of tinkering with the real natron, actually taken from Lake Natron, finally succeeded in producing the elusive light. Lawrence Principe labored for months in vain in an attempt to replicate Basil Valentine's golden glass of antimony, because, as he admits, he didn't take Valentine's recipe from the 15th century literally enough. And that means using exactly what Valentine prescribed, which was naturally occurring stibnite, not pure antimony sulfide. So, failure to successfully produce ancient alchemical procedures rather is a diagnosis of the reproducer and not of the original recipe or science behind it. There is still much to learn from ancient alchemy, especially about the chemical lights so often referred to. A cold light, which is said to have illuminated tombs, for instance, for hundreds of years. One candidate could be luminon, an element shown in Walter Russell's Octaves of the Elements, several steps above hydrogen, which Russell called light of the future.
Who the hell was this guy, dude? How does he know everything about everything?
Thus,
Yeah,
thus
exactly.
many
He's
of
a
the ancient.
scholar.
Yeah, dude. If y'all have seen Walter Russell's thing, it's kind of crazy. I was trying to blow it up, but it doesn't seem to. Yeah, it doesn't have enough resolution. Thus, many of the ancient recipes could not be reproduced in Europe of the Renaissance because of lack of access to this naturally occurring natron, as well as lack of knowledge about the above-mentioned arcana, which was one of the reasons why alchemy ultimately descended into quackery, with the result that the quality of the scientific content became inverse proportional to the quantity of publications from 17th century onward. The less alchemists succeeded in getting anywhere, the more obscure the language grew. The more they hid behind the, okay, I'm writing a book with a promising title, but won't tell you anything important anyways, blaming it on the oath of secrecy they had sworn as adepts, but actually just hiding their ignorance. It is also important to keep in mind that in ancient times, there was no distinction between organic and inorganic chemistry, which is modern and purely arbitrary anyways. Organic suggests something living, and inorganic something dead. But in fact, the term organic just means chemistry involving carbon. But carbon is as dead as silicon, for instance, or as alive. In ancient times, everything was alive. Metals were considered to be as alive as we call hydrocarbons alive, i.e., organic. That means metals and minerals as much as other matter lived, matured, and eventually decayed. In Trovanti, the Trovanti in Romania are a good example. These are stones that grow offspring, which drop off and move away, producing their own offspring. Also,
Yo,
here we see
what?
growth.
Those are those are rocks.
You mean like sea sponges that without the sea, or
That's crazy.
Also,
We'll have to check
yeah,
that
I'm
out
about to look
later.
this up in a second.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Also, here we see growth, not erosion. That's a balanced stone. Okay. Modern civilization
That gives new meaning to the man of stone.
Modern civilization depends on mineral growing farms, where they grow single crystal semiconductors for integrated circuits and photovoltaics. John Czochralski acted like a true alchemist when he developed the process named after him while working for AEG. He sat over a crucible with molten silicon and experimented with dipping a rod with trace amounts of contaminants like phosphorus or boron, changing rotating and dipping rates to grow crystals with different electronic properties. A plaque at the Warsaw University commemorates this. In 1916, Jan Czochralski invented a method of crystal growth used to obtain single crystals of semiconductors, metals, salts, and synthetic gemstones during his work at AEG in Berlin, Germany. He developed the process further at the Warsaw University of Technology, Poland. The Czochralski process enabled development of electronic semiconductor devices and modern electronics. So this is the dude, I guess, who learned how to grow crystals. So we see that the alchemist's idea that metals grow and mature in the bowels of the earth is closer to observation than modern scientists' fantasy of elements growing in the bowels of the sun. There's absolutely no basis for such an assumption, starting with the impossibility of a gaseous, self-compressing sun. Then, no one has shown that fusion past carbon is even theoretically possible without invoking an exotic variation of carbon. And stars like HD 101065 showing spectral lines of short-lived elements way beyond iron, the theoretically last element in solar production, like technetium and promethium, completely shatters modern cosmology's claim to know anything about the universe. Or rather, it demonstrates that modern scientific cosmology deserves the epithet superstition more than alchemy ever did.
101065, huh? They had to make
Interesting,
up
bro.
new elements to explain its spectral analysis. That's hilarious.
just saying that was great.
Well, you know what they
The
say.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
the
thanks,
stones with
Pizia. That was a great
offspring.
read.
Oh, no problem, bro. I want to see this.
Yeah, I would like to designate you as like the official Brenner.
Dude got
Comp
intonage,
leader.
tone, and everything. It was ready to go.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The mysterious growing stones of Romania. What?
It actually just hit me that like no elements are made in space. Everything is made using these corrosive alchemic processes, and I was like, oh, duh. But I hadn't even like put that in proper mental capacity yet.
No,
so
it comes
thanks.
from a star exploding.
Like I know that's what I was told, right? That's what everyone's told. And I was like, oh wait,
Dude,
but that's retarded.
Shane,
Oh, I
what do you know?
remember now.
What do you know about micrometeorites, my dude? How you gonna dismiss the micrometeorites?
Like how Contagion started, whatever.
That's awesome. So these stars, I'm sorry, these rocks just grow other rocks and then they fall away and make other rocks. That's insane.
These rocks are the actual star factories, dude. It's cool. That's just all it is.
Ooh, this one sounds pretty good. What does the government actually have to gain from lying about the Earth's shape?
Brenner gonna give us a special rendition of why would they lie?
Interesting. That's pretty wild, bro.
That was pretty wild, man. That was a really good one.
Well, it's like they had this arcana substance and this luminous like light stuff that they don't know how to reproduce, or basically he was saying that, look, guys, we've tried to break chemistry down, alchemy down into chemistry, into this like process where they math everything out and try to break everything into its most elemental substances. But he's like, the reason they weren't even able to reproduce a lot of this stuff is because when they did it, they didn't follow their instructions. They weren't taking, the crystals from this lake and the stones from this cave and the dirt from this forest. And they were just assuming that, okay, dirt contains this, rocks contain this, minerals contain that. And they were trying to do it that way, and they failed. And the longer they failed and further away they got from it, the more alchemy became quackery. But the ancients were able to do stuff with it that we can't reproduce today. That was basically the story.
Or that they figured it all out and they realized how powerful each man could be with this knowledge and continued their work and just acted like they failed.
Maybe that too. Maybe. Can scientific facts become false due to new discoveries after they've been accepted as true? We were wrong. We were wrong. Please listen.
Sounds like after this pandemic or whatever. Mistakes were made on both sides, guys.
Science is ever evolving or whatever.
The mistake we made on our side is we didn't execute them.
Oh, this is a good point. Why isn't alchemy considered a science? Only mainstream media and schools don't consider it science. Scientists have always considered alchemy a science, as well as upheld one of alchemy's goals, transmutation, as central to all chemical sciences, all the way up to Nobel laureates of the 20th century. The same is true for the ether, by the way, which is only abandoned in the public domain. Nobel laureates like Einstein himself understood that physics in general and general relativity in particular without ether are unthinkable. Nobel
the esoteric and the exoteric.
I really like this guy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's why we like Brenner right there. That little comment in a nutshell. It's like, yeah, that nails it.
This guy got the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1921 about transmutation, apparently. Interesting. The generality of natural philosophers doubt the truth of alchemy, but they are not able to be judges of a subject that's entirely known and unknown to them. The most knowledgeable chemists do not call it into doubt. And about transmutation in particular, the most sensible and knowledgeable chemists have believed it. The ignorant ones and the uneducated people are the ones who've denied it. Transmutation, huh?
Yep. He says, I think this is the alchemy one I made a comp for. He says, well, if you look at gold and mercury are one element away from each other on a periodic table.
Huh.
And the process, it's too expensive to make it into gold.
Yeah, mercury is also a solvent for gold, so it can actually hold gold inside of it, carry it. And then you wonder also, like, what was it, the Chinese emperor that had all that mercury, all those mercury pools? I wonder if they had gold in them.
I don't know, bro. That's a good question. Those giant pool basins of mercury that they had in front of their giant Aztec temples where they did the human sacrifices in Tenochtitlan.
Yeah, and he had all those clay warriors or whatever they were. You know what I'm talking about, right? All those,
I've read
fucking
Terracotta
warriors. Thank you.
I remember reading this before. I've read this. Just how bad alchemy's rep has gotten can be gleaned from a famous quote among Nobel laureates of the 20th century. When F. Soddy and Ernest Rutherford? Experimented with thorium, they found it decayed into an inert gas, which later was identified by another Nobel laureate, William Ramsay, as helium. When Soddy realized what was happening, he exclaimed, "This is transmutation," causing Rutherford to snap back, "Don't call it transmutation. They'll have our heads off as alchemists."
It is just like ether. You can't call it that.
Dude.
So the thorium is giving off helium? So we actually have a source for helium.
Yeah, apparently when it decays, because I mean, you got to think when stuff decays, it's not supposed to turn into other stable elements, right?
I heard that's why they what is that? Nuclear waste or whatever decays into helium as well. I heard and that's why they keep it under wraps.
Diocletian, in order to save a collapsing empire where the silver content of coins had dropped from 80 to 3% with a thin wash of tin to make it look like silver, implemented a major currency reform coupled with an order to burn all books on chemia, the science of silver and gold, after having studied them, of course, and having used the recipes given there in his own mint. That's why from 1,000 years of early chemia, we only have 2 manuscripts left. Wow. He's like, let's monopolize chemistry and burn all the books, and we'll be the only ones who know how to do it.
What is Brenner's like certification? He's like a chemist, astrophysicist, math expert, historian, cultural antithesis. What the fuck?
Mechanical. It says mechanical engineering and linguistics. That's all.
Is that what his specialty actually is? We haven't even heard of specialty then. God damn.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that's only rational from an enterprise point of view. If private citizens had access to some procedure that could allow them to practically grow gold in their basement, what would happen to the gold standard? Same thing with the infinite resource of energy, which is the ether, according to Tesla. How would you maintain power, which is grounded in manipulating scarcity, if scarcity disappears? In 1317, Pope John the 22nd wrote a decretal against alchemists born out of the same concern over the riches of the Vatican. And in 1404, Henry IV of England forbade the pursuit of transmutation, although one could still buy a license, so the crown at least still earned off the desire for it.
You're gonna need a license to transmute that, my dude.
Hold on. What did Robert Boyle say? Don't tell me he said something about gold transmutation. Hold on. Robert Boyle successfully appealed this decree as he himself had worked on transmutation and was pretty sure he could do it, but didn't want to run afoul of the law. He refused to give his colleague at the Royal Society and avid alchemist Isaac Newton any details, though, wherefore the latter came down on his estate like a hawk after Boyle's death, through a common friend, John Locke, who happened to be Boyle's executor of his estate. These manuscripts are now in Philadelphia after the infamous auctioning off of Newton's papers in 1930. A manuscript containing Newton's ideas on alchemy ended up in the Dibner Library in New York. So, like, what do you guys think? Do you think that they figured out how to transmute precious materials or no?
I think they figured
it's believable for sure.
They figured something out that they don't want us to know.
Yeah, especially when you look at what you can do at home, just like simple things like creating your own gems in your microwave or using like a welding tool that has a carbon tip. You can create diamonds, you can create rubies, sapphires. It's totally believable.
What? Come again?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm taking you to a whole new realm.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into it right now and steer it away, but
Well, you're gonna have to.
It's a very interesting topic.
I mean, we're in the middle of
simple
alchemy.
Tools at home have the capacity to be able to, in a way, formulate crystals and what we consider precious stones.
Huh.
Through simple plasma. What is it? There's another name for it. See, I'm not really. What is it? Not sure what it's called. There's a name for it. Anyways, it's very easy to do at home, and it's primarily based around plasma. You also, I think there's other things you can do with food too. You can crystallize food as well, like fruits.
Crystallize food.
Yeah, like fruits, oranges, apples, mangoes.
Wait,
through
so
like
I
a
can
salination process or whatever it's called.
Wait, so I can crystallize a fruit. I can make a crystal. I can put that crystal in a fucking computer chip, and I can power something incredible. Am I going crazy? Hold on.
I wish I had a little bit more time to talk about it. Sorry, guys, but it's interesting because there's even some people theorize that that's where a lot of geoids and stuff come from, is organic matter that is crystallized. It's not the formation through lava and pressure that creates geoids.
What is it?
More of like you're talking about, more like a mineralization, almost like a transmutation that occurs.
Wow, you could really think
Almost
a lot
like
of
the growth of a crystal, right? It's the same concept. That's really what a geoid is, encased in rock.
to literally be like a fruit.
Have you guys heard about the stones that grow out of a wall in like the side of a mountain essentially, or cliff face in China?
We could look into this guy. It says in the mid-19th century, alchemy was at least temporarily rehabilitated when Cyprian Theodore Tifero, a specialist in daguerreotype and the chemistry of light, claimed to have succeeded in transmutation. And the Academy decided to do the unprecedented and give him audience and hear him out. The packet cachette with the gold, allegedly produced in the process, is still in the Academy archive. So apparently this dude made gold and they still have the gold he apparently made. New developments like being able to weigh atoms and order them according to weight, where it seemed atoms were multiple integers of hydrogen, sparked a new and public interest. Oh, that's when they came up with like the whole number ratio theory.
Dude, shout out to Stone for breaking that down the other night.
You don't think everything's a base number ratio of hydrogen, Stone?
Oh no, I think they totally got it, man. Like to the 20th decimal point.
Oh, that thing. I got you. Yeah. What is it? Defective atoms? Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Let that sink in for a moment. As late as 1853, we have a civilian reading to the official scientific body of France, like the Academy or whatever, a paper about transmutation of silver into gold. Interesting.
What about those rocks that grow on walls there, Quinn?
This dude's pretty cool. I like this Brenner guy.
There's the New Earth channel on YouTube, and she has a Living Stones section, and she mentions this art about these. They're like these almost perfectly spherical stones that almost seem to, according to the locals, grow out of a like cliff face that is near their village, and they'll like fall. I don't know if it's erosion. I haven't been, obviously, or if they're actually like forming and popping out or what, but they'll like pop out like an egg and kind of crack open. Like nothing, I don't think anything comes out. It's just rock, but like, I don't know.
It sounds like
There's a news article about
depositional
it.
as a part
What
of
is it?
drainage. It sounds like it's depositional, like a stalactite formational process.
Could be. I don't know enough.
Is the current what? Is he about to get? He's talking about pi. The question is the current periodic table correct or not? And he says this is a similar question to what is special about the number pi. What?
How is that related, Brenner? I'm gonna need a follow up, bro.
Dude, well, we could read this and then read the pi one.
Yeah, the pi one, his basic point, just to answer that real quick. He's talking about that it's not about the numbers, it's about the formation itself. Everyone makes a big deal about the numbers, and the numbers don't really matter. It's about the pattern.
Like the golden ratio, you mean? Like, what is that? You're not going to quantify it, but just the fact that it persists everywhere, maybe?
Yeah, well, it's everywhere. It's just that the numbers aren't really, like, the focus on the numbers is like a sidestep to the structure and stuff like this. Basically what it says. But yeah, we could read that one for sure. Probably didn't do it justice.
This is wild. Anyways, what paper are you gonna read now, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, Piezo, if you want to keep reading another Brenner comp, you're welcome to, or we could, if someone else wants to read one, there's like a bunch that just got dropped in the chat, or we could wrap it up. Whatever you guys are thinking here.
Yeah, I didn't have anything specific, so if you
Wrap
wanted
it
to,
Dude, I like listening to
I'm down to
PZO
keep
read
going
Brenner
if you guys
comps.
are.
To be
Great.
honest, I'm chilling. Yeah, we got
Yeah.
a bunch of people on Twitter. We're chilling.
Cool.
Yeah, I found the one where he exposes all these fraudsters at the beginning of the evolution bullshit, but it's pretty long. They're tweaking the data, they're switching the numbers around and make it look good, make it look good for the audience.
The people
It's
who
the last
invented
one.
dinosaurs were part of the people who tried to insert all sorts of years and by carbon dating in the science and historical records so that we could have micro changes via evolution convert us from fish fraud into people or something, right? Maybe.
Yeah. And also eugenics. And yes, all these quackery sciences that were inserted in late 1700s, early 1800s.
Right.
Well, he's going in on a flat Earth right here.
Going in on or defending heartily?
No. Like, look at the comments. How is it you know so much and yet understand so little? He practices a lot.
As soon as he says flat Earth, they're like, "Oh, you're retarded. Everything you said is stupid."
Just great and so funny. A doctor at anti-silence, a polydolt.
Good Lord, dude. All the stuff we just read blew our mind, but I'm willing to forget every bit of it because he said flat Earth.
Wait, what is this picture? Have y'all seen this? Look, Antarctica here and
the
there.
airway map, dude, right? That's who's in the.
No. This one's different. This one's. Oh, the preferred war map. Okay. Wait a second. Are you telling me that there's like a bunch of ice below South America, and then there's a bunch of ice randomly off over here somewhere south of Australia, and then over here there's like nothing?
I think that was the mural on the back of Air Force One during JFK's day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's where I remember it from.
Yep. It's just a different type of projection.
Okay.
That being said, Briggs, it's not one I'm familiar with, and I'm familiar with all the projections. So
that's
my just favorite. Azimuthal equidistant centered in the United States.
Yeah, it's America centered.
Yeah,
that's my favorite war map. my favorite war projection.
American frame.
Yep.
You guys want to read? Like there's so many articles.
I mean, where's the one that I think the one you had open looked pretty good, honestly.
Okay, where let me scroll back down.
Let's see where
the periodic table one.
Levelist, were you talking about that last one you posted? Can one accept Darwin's notion of survival? No, I don't think this is the one. Something tells me we just pick one and read it. We're going to find some gravy.
Yep.
There's another one in the text chat about light moving at space and time instead of just through space. Maybe that one.
How does this one sound? Why do illustrations of total lunar eclipse depict the penumbra as a result of the sun's disk being larger than the Earth?
Ooh,
I like that one. Can we do that one?
Bubba Shadow. Hold on, I like that one too.
Drop a link, bro.
Do you win?
Yeah, that seems like a really good one.
That's deep. That's like 3/4 of the way down his answers.
Okay. I'm gonna read it real quick, and I'm gonna go eat.
Hey, you can popcorn, dude.
It's all right. I've like never really done this anyway, so first time for everything, right?
You're doing great.
Good, then you can be the star.
You're doing great, kid.
Already.
I'm just starving, so after this, I'm gonna go eat.
You don't have to. You can go right now if you want, and one of us can take over. It's not no problem.
It's okay.
No.
My brain is hungry too.
Yes, is better at it than any of us. Let him do it.
Okay, you have to. Sorry.
He's just better at it. Let him do it.
Sorry, you've been elected. That's your role now.
Why do illustrations of a total solar or a total lunar eclipse depict the penumbra as a result of the sun's disk being larger than the Earth? Because a religion is based on having it all which way. A cult depends on bending and stretching logic all which way in order to bridge the gap between fantasy and observed reality. The solar system model is based on and solely and solidly constructed on the premise of parallel sun rays. That is, parallel sun rays. Whenever needed, Eratosthenes is cited as ingeniously and authoritatively calculating Earth's circumference based on this assumption. That is, assumption, which just by the way has never been verified. Nobody has ever observed or demonstrated such parallel sun rays, yet it is treated as factual. Although the very same observations cited in the story could have led Eratosthenes to calculate the distance to a local sun over a flat surface, sending converging rays, which is what is actually observed. Now, whenever eclipses are involved, all of a sudden, the premise of a faraway sun, and thus parallel rays, is pushed aside, and a close sun with decidedly converging rays is illustrated. The argument of Peter Hilton that we don't have a 93 million mile long paper to illustrate the situation is as unjustified as the whole model. You don't need a 93 million mile long paper to illustrate half a degree of angular size in the sky. From the point of view of the moon in the shadow of Earth, the sun would have, if anything, less than half a degree angular size, whereas the Earth, as seen from the moon, would block 2 degrees of the sky, which completely annihilates that model.
Oh my God, that's so true. You know what's not part of the scaling invariance of an optical phenomenon? That's 0.53 degrees. Yeah, that and that type of shadow from that distance. Holy crap.
Let's see where they from the point of view of the moon in the shadow of Earth, the sun would have less than half a degree of angular size, whereas the Earth, as seen from the moon, would block 2 degrees of the sky, which completely annihilates that model.
Right? Because, dude, the sun and the moon are both 0.53 degrees. Everyone knows that. So it should be 4 times as big to do what it's doing, right? Isn't that what he's saying?
Yeah. I mean, it can't be smaller.
It has to be. It has to be 4 times.
Yes. There's no physical demonstration that's ever been given otherwise.
Well, this is a point we kept bringing up. I mean, like, think about the size of the Earth compared to the sun. Like, the idea that the Earth can block out all of the sunlight is ridiculous to begin with.
Yeah, but he just put it in a way that, like,
of light coming out the side.
That math just cut through to my soul. I just sat up and went, "Oh, oh God, I get it. Oh no."
Yep.
Also, but such is cult followership. Brains are switched off at the entrance to the temple. We all know that an object at a distance over 100 times its size does not cast a sharp and focused umbra, only a fuzzy penumbra, if at all. Take your morning coffee mug, let's say 10 centimeters in diameter, and try to cast a shadow at a wall 10 meters away. Good luck with your umbra.
Right. Dude, right.
Wow. It's just really bright. It's just really bright. That's why. We all know that shadows are larger than the object casting it. So if the shadow of the moon in a solar eclipse is 250 kilometers wide, the object casting it must be less. Then there are observations everybody can make with their own eyes. Nothing about how the recent eclipse played out fits with the model. The white cap on the right. The white cap on the right side of the moon, for instance, photographed here at 6:42 local time in Vienna, Austria, never really disappeared, but wandered around the top to the left and then spread again over the whole disk. This completely eliminates the penumbra-umbra transition fantasy.
Yeah, dude, lunar eclipses are barking wild.
If the interpretation that the red light coming from the moon is reflected light from a surface of 3,500 kilometer diameter that passed through Earth's atmosphere at a perimeter of 12,000 kilometers, then that light must come in at an angle, and light coming in at an angle onto a rugged surface must cast shadows, which there are none. Wait a second. Let's read that again. If the red light coming from the moon is reflected light from a surface of about 3,500 kilometers diameter, right, that passed through the Earth's atmosphere at a perimeter of around 12,000 kilometers, then that light must come in at an angle to the Earth. And light coming in at an angle onto a rugged surface must cast shadows, which there are none. Shadows on the moon are only ever observed at the phase edge, never on the full side of the moon, and never on a full moon disk, which in itself is nonsensical when you postulate parallel sun rays falling onto a surface which slopes away toward the periphery. Dude, parallel sun rays would cast shadows over topography.
That is swift.
Dude, he's bringing it back to everything is based on that, and it's so right because they just throw that aside for this specific instance and never mind the Snellian explanation where they try to pretend you can refract a shadow or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
I brought this up on Flat Earth Friday actually because there's such a small angle at which light could enter the atmosphere to be cast underneath the clouds, and yet we see that light display itself for sometimes an hour or more. But we should be able to see the distinct line of the curvature of the Earth obstructing the light, and then like that line traveling underneath the clouds. It just doesn't happen.
What's odd is that if you look at this, it appears as if you've got like, if you call this a shadow, the shadow's going up and to the left. The shadow's going up and to the left. The shadow is coming straight from the right. The shadow's coming straight from the right, up and to the left, straight from the right.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's just how they work all the time. And essentially, I was the only one who seemed to care or notice that. Like, okay, so if an orbiting body, right, is occulting something via a shadow in one uniform direction, how does it change direction 90 degrees halfway through? Why does it take an abrupt 9-degree turn and nobody cares? But I'm like, that is incongruent, guys. that is retarded.
Talking about how the quote unquote craters have shadows coming in from different angles from the same light source.
No, not that. But what happened before the total lunar eclipse?
Oh. Okay. But the size of both the umbra and penumbra of Earth's shadow at the location of the moon can be calculated just from geometry, says Ron Brown in his answer. And that is the crux with the entire Copernican system. It is calculated, not observed. It is math, not physics. The introduction to Copernicus's De Revolutionibus says it all. These hypotheses need not be true nor even probable. If they provide a calculus consistent with the observations, that alone is enough. What? He said that?
A calculus.
This dude said, what I'm saying is happening doesn't need to even be true as long as the math works.
A
it's
calculus.
I mean, dude, they knew about kinematics back then.
Bro. That conceptual error has been pointed out right away. Mathematics and cosmology were rightly seen as inferior fields of science compared to physics and astronomy, because the former were purely computational, whereas the latter were observational. G.M. Tolasani argues that Copernicus uses inferior fields of science to make pronouncements about superior fields, and thus threatens to undermine the whole system of the philosophy of science. Tolasani held that Copernicus had fallen into philosophical error because he had not been versed in physics and logic. Anyone without such knowledge would make a poor astronomer and be unable to distinguish truth from falsehood. Newton and Kepler fell into the same category of error because they did not observe. They only calculated what they wanted nature to be, not what they observed nature actually was. Because calculations are arbitrary, the entire system ends up being arbitrary. Newton postulated that the moon is in free fall around the Earth and used math to calculate matching numbers. He also postulated that the moon exerted a tidal force on the oceans and used math to calculate matching numbers. What math will never tell you, because math is blind, is that these two approaches are not compatible. Either you have the moon in free fall, or you have the moon exerting a force. You cannot have both.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my God, he just destroyed mass attracting mass in an orbit too from that kinematic
Damn.
equivalence when you do centrifugal to gravitational.
Ooh.
You can't have it, and that's why.
Man.
The definition of free fall is the absence of force, or in other words, while in free fall, an object is not lifting stuff. Dude, if the moon was exerting a force, there's always an equal and opposite reaction. If it's pulling the water's going to be pulling it. It would not be perfectly balanced in its path around the Earth.
Oh,
with the changing tides in the oceans, as much as they move, bro, it would constantly cause the moon to shift in its orbit.
Don't you worry about that, PZO.
Gravity.
We got geokinematic presentations coming on that from a breakdown of Robert Bennett's paper on his tides, and then we're going to incorporate it into some greater math. So that's going to be fun.
We don't need to discuss Kepler's harmonic laws in detail because they've been shown to be a fabrication, a deceitful retro-engineering. And as long as this is not officially acknowledged, we live in deceit. If the parallel ray hypothesis, which is still at the basis of heliocentrism, would be true, we would be hit by a 1.4 million kilometer wide pillar of light from the sun during daytime. And a 3,500 kilometer wide pillar of light from the moon at night, both of which is clearly not the case. If you apply a GIMP edge tool to an image of the sun, it becomes obvious that 150 million kilometers of distance are a fairy tale.
Man, that right there is one of the images that brought me here, like for sure. Like that video.
What is this
that.
image showing you? What is this
It's
image
showing a
showing you?
crispy edge to the sun that it should not have at that distance, much less the part that it's a gas ball. When we look at our own attenuation of density of gas coming away from the surface of Earth, you know what I mean? It's all at the surface, and then there's this big long fade, a drop in pressure towards zero, right? Starting at about 12 kilometers up. Well, the sun, allegedly, because of its mass, has 32 times Earth gravity. So it should still have the same kind of fade away thing with a slightly different curve. And the edge would not be crispy.
Also, definitely apparent foreground and near ground. Like that sun is behind and in front of those clouds. That is crazy. So,
I mean, why would it be?
No, I don't know about that. That's a function of the CMOS sensor and its lack of ability to resolve contrast.
I don't know. It looks to me like it's in front of and behind shit, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen this picture before. Not
Well,
this
why is
exact one, but the original.
I mean, it could just be that this cloud right here is like really thick and the light from the sun's not cutting through it, and this cloud's here thin.
But like
that's precisely it.
But there's a bunch of other images and videos showing exactly the same circumstances though that seem to portray.
But the sun's not in the clouds though, bro. The sun's like really high. You know what I mean? Like
it's much farther away than the clouds.
Yeah. And if you compare traces of moon and stars, it becomes what the frick? It becomes obvious that they do not differ in depth. They are light phenomena originating at pretty much the same distance because the length of their traces depends only on radial distance from Polaris. Bro, hold on a second. If Earth is a ball,
he's saying that parallax should mean something in our observation, and we never observe it.
Yeah, if the Earth is a ball, right? It's a ball spinning, and because of its spin, it creates star trails. Then at some point, because of the difference in distances, you're saying that we should see these star trails like overlap each other and run over each other? Or what should we see?
We definitely should, right? It's amazing and crazy that we don't ever see that.
Relative to the latitude, right? They should do what they do at the equator at every latitude. So you should see, like everyone should have.
For you, yeah, you should see the stars.
They should have
diverge away from right overhead.
Right. There would be different levels of it relative to the latitude. So people would see different things, but all, kind of the same. If that were
I'm trying to think about that, bro.
Dude, that's so crazy. Yeah, we have
that was the point we read earlier. That's the point we read earlier. Like, so at the equator, the globe claim is that it has that effect because the Earth is rotating, and that's like the exact perpendicular point of the axis of rotation. But like, if you go slightly south of that, the stars are still just functionally. Well, I'm not actually rotating perpendicular anymore. Shouldn't we look like we're inside of a toilet paper roll instead of inside like a sphere wrapped around us?
Dude, it's so hard to envision what it should look like, but I'm still a fan of the spaghetti monster in the sky, where the stars should be different all the fucking time and never the same. That's kind of what I think we should be.
I feel like it should be a cylinder, like a toilet paper roll. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it's going to be pseudospherical like your azimuthal grid of vision is.
if it was a globe. Okay. Oh, let's see what this guy replied. Either you have the moon in free fall or you have the moon exerting a force. You can't have both. The definition of free fall is the absence of force, or in other words, while in free fall, an object's not lifting stuff. Nice falsehood. Free fall is not an absence of force. It is unhindered movement in response to a force.
Ned Flanders.
If there is no force, there is no fall. There's just floating.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Thanks, Guy. Thanks, Roy.
Well,
I'm satisfied. Okay, bedtime.
You're
Does
pointing
he-
to somebody, Roy. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah,
does anyone have some fag vinaigrette for my gay salad? My gay word salad? I'm sorry, dude. I shouldn't make fun of people.
Yeah. Careful for the YouTube there.
Oh, we're on YouTube, right? Why did you not tell me that?
We're on like 3 YouTubes, but who cares?
Well, I apologize. I just get.
We
upset
don't
at people.
discriminate around salad around here. It's all good. But
I get tired of faking gay.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, that's what fag stands for, by the way. Faking gay. If you didn't know. Hello there, Michael. First, let me thank you for all. Oh, this is a nice guy. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's a good point. If I took anything away from this, is that I have already thought about the whole thing. Like, how can an object that's that big be casting a shadow that's so small? And they're like, well, here's your answer: converging and diverging sun rays. And it's like, bro, are they
Can't
parallel
have
or are
that.
they not?
You can't have that, bro. That's what everyone should have said immediately, but no, because of all the other things you claim.
Yeah, but if this is how eclipses work, then how does Eratosthenes work, bro?
How dare you?
Bruh.
You just fried my brain. I'm trying to defend it as a globularist, and it hurt.
I mean, for real though, dude. Like, I don't know. Have y'all seen the animation from the 2017 eclipse where they try to model it and it shows every time they model it, it either shows the Earth spinning the wrong way or the moon approaching from the wrong direction or moving way faster than the Earth is spinning?
No.
Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Never heard of it.
No. That sounds pretty funny though.
Dude, yeah, so in the 2017 like solar eclipse, it was showing in order to model the path of the shadow like over the Earth, every video either showed the Earth spinning the wrong way or they had to make the moon like go really fast around the Earth in order to because basically, it's saying that the moon was overtaking the sun or whatever, and then it moved through the path of the sun and then the shadow got cast. But relative to the surface of the Earth, as the Earth's also rotating, like you had to have the moon like moving really fast to make it happen. It doesn't make any sense.
I thought of that.
It'd make more sense if I had a visual to show you, but
Yeah, but I'm picking it up.
Yeah. I'm getting it. It makes no sense. You know where it does make sense? If you look at like a geocentric position and how the sun and the moon are exactly the same size and have these like oscillating but intersecting tilt paths that are inevitable to intersect at a certain point called nodes, that's when it makes a lot of sense.
No, I like the heliocentric explanation that there's a parallel light ray that becomes a convergent light ray when they need it to be.
Right.
Because, dude,
elegant.
it's classic wave particle duality, bro. Everyone's going to be looking at the eclipse, so it changes from a parallel light ray to a converging light ray.
Okay, hold on.
So we should just do an eclipse stream at some point too.
Well, bro, it's like, why can I find? Okay, this might work. Hopefully, this works.
Hope that guy gets out of that car in time.
I think this is the wrong eclipse. Okay.
That was 2017.
It says 6 years ago. Oh, August. Okay, there we go. Well, I wish it would show it. Come on, man. Do the man. I need to see the view from right here. I need, because when they model it right here, they either have the Earth spinning the wrong way, or they have the moon moving like really fast, and it doesn't make sense.
You guys figured out that in that image and the last one you were showing on the last Brenner doc, that the moon's ecliptic was at 90 degrees out?
What?
Oh, you mean from like the equator?
Yeah, it looks like it's not coming in or out of the page like it should be relative to how the Earth spins when it goes around the Earth, allegedly.
Oh, right. It should be off center.
No, it's that the axis is rotated 90 degrees to the flat of the page. It's an illusion.
Does he not have? What the heck, bro? I thought Taboo had this. Where is it? Dude, what has happened to all the eclipse videos, bro? Are they gone? What on earth?
Try.
Dude, it's YouTube.
Yeah, you could try searching on pre-search. Pre-search indexes YouTube's videos better than YouTube does when it comes to censored topics.
Okay. But I'm on their channel and I'm doing a search on their channel. Like it'll pop up. Yeah. Who else? Taboo and who's the other people? I mean, it's Jaren's gonna have a million videos. It's gonna be like impossible to search through probably. Yeah, I can't believe it. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Like I remember this back when it happened. And it was wild to me. Who's another channel? Why is there no channels tab anymore? Did they take that away from YouTube?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we are about 3 hours deep now.
Now we're coming up on 2.
Oh,
yeah, maybe this is it right here. Maybe there's a part 1 and part 2. Here we go. I think this will show what I'm talking about.
Oh, Neil.
I laugh every time I see him get hit in the face. All right, I think this is what I'm talking about. So like, let me speed this up a little bit.
It's only 6 minutes, man.
Okay.
I mean, we could watch it in 3 though.
You speed addict.
Okay, so you see the shadow You got the moon going around slow. You got the Earth spinning fast, and you see the shadow. You see how the shadow's going? Okay. Shadow's going from east to west, right? Right?
Yeah, but the moon should be 30 Earth radii away.
Okay, sure, but it's just approximately,
Oh, 232,000 miles, you mean?
This is just to show the basics of it. It's not supposed to be super perfect. So I hope you're paying attention.
If it's like that, shadow should be going east to west, right?
Yeah, the shadow is going east to west, but during the 2017 eclipse, the shadow went from west to east.
And the one we're about to see.
Oh, really?
See, this is the path of the 2017 solar eclipse. Goes from the west coast to the east coast. The eclipse will enter from the west in Oregon and next. Yeah, I watched this thing. It passed right over us on the military base I was at. Okay, so I think we've seen it enough. Now, but here's when they show you the models, all the models don't fit reality. If the Earth is rotating west to east, right, and the moon is moving west to east, wouldn't the land in North America be traveling 27 times faster than the shadow coming from the moon? Yes. I mean, yes and yes. If that is the case, how would the shadow move from west to east instead of east to west?
Very good question.
Farther away, right?
The distance away doesn't change the direction. So let's look at NASA's model. What NASA will show us how it works.
This is actually pretty compelling. I'm kind of curious about this, but if the
look, the moon's moving like retarded fast. Oh, that explains it.
Yeah, but this isn't at scale, I guess, on what's clear.
Doesn't really seem to be going west to east, though, does it? It looks like that shadow's going east to west.
Yeah, but think about it. If they have the scale there and the rotation of the Earth, we might get a better picture of it. I would love for someone to demonstrate that.
If we change the distance, right, like it's still going to have the same relative 27-to-1 ratio, right? It takes the moon 27 days to catch up to like where it was because the Earth's rotating faster.
Yep.
The moon is not revolving faster than the Earth is spinning. The Earth is spinning faster in their model. But in order to explain it, they're like got the moon like zooming around the Earth.
Earth zoom.
Pretty soon there's going to be a flat Earth.ws meme about it. It's going to be Earth zoomers, totally acceptable. It happens all the time. Don't be.
Yeah, it's just a little Earth zoom, dude. That's what
So
Miller
right
measured.
there, look, the shadow's moving east to west right there in that part. So like their little animation doesn't even represent what actually happened.
But okay, but also the Earth isn't moving relative to the sun either. Yeah, this is confusing, man.
Let's go back to timeanddate.com. Oh, there's timeanddate.com's version. They've got it simulated, right? Yeah, except the eclipse is going from west to east as it should.
Yeah.
There you go. But you see, it works perfectly on a rotating. Wait, a rotating. What? Guys. Not to split hairs or anything, but the Earth seems to be spinning in the wrong direction. Well, the Earth is spinning in the wrong direction.
You never heard of Earth reverse?
So I guess this doesn't really accurately depict it either, right? I mean, surely you should be able to make a 3D model in the globular paradigm that accurately models, what the physics of the situation, right? Is it really that hard to show?
To be fair, Fred, who does all this, only gives them stills, and the path has nothing to do with orbital mechanics or the path of the bodies. When he produces the map, it's just the map. So,
Oh, interesting. Hmm.
After many searches, I came to a realization that was quite telling. Most space websites seem to rotate the Earth the wrong direction in all their animations. Look, we've got a west to east eclipse shadow, but we've got an east to west Earth.
That's insane.
I guess it's the only way to make the eclipse work on a spinning globe.
you know what it is? It's because the stars go one way, and their whole inverted paradigm suggests the Earth spins underneath them the other way, and that's tainted every measurement and observation that they've ever made.
Yeah, I think if you guys could like combine this with like the explanations I've heard in the last, I guess this is week 3 with like refraction and stuff, or some of the light bending stuff that, again, I can't wrap my head around. But
Hey, Verdict, why don't you get, you know what, when you were bringing up you said there's like an ace in the hole argument that if flat earthers could solve it with magnetic declination, was it?
well, the maps thing would be that would be the gold goose if you guys could solve that. I mean,
So
we got a golden goose.
He makes a part 2, right? So apparently there were NASA fanboys everywhere that said that they found the animations that I've requested. Let's take a look.
Shout out to the globular list who went out and found these for the boys. That's awesome when they come through and help.
It does appear that
they just change the moon's direction.
Is that? I mean, is the sun moving behind us right now? Is that what's? I mean, what's casting the shadow?
well, again, that's the thing about like the scale of the distance between the sun and the moon and the rotation of the Earth.
Yeah, but the moon's not moving at all.
Yeah.
So the sun, they're literally just having the sun move.
No. They're having the Earth rotate, and then, well, no, I go because your perspective is at the moon, right?
It's about reference, not perspective. Is if we're seeing this from a stationary point where the sun is, from the sun's reference frame, then the moon should actually be moving to the right as well,
right?
Slightly faster than 15.
Yeah.
Or actually slightly slower than 15, half a degree off of that particular speed. It's not going to make a difference, really.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
So I guess you believe it's the movement of the sun alone that causes an eclipse?
No, I don't believe that.
We've got a fixed moon and a rotating Earth that's also fixed.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't even realize my mic was unmuted. I started just like babbling. This is kind of fascinating.
But I thought the whole reason we see the sun move was the Earth's rotation.
Well, that's
No, he's narrating. You're good,
model,
bro.
right? Wait. Oh, okay, yeah, I might have got confused. My bad.
His spotty senses are apparently tingling. I guess what's he going to show us now?
Well, because you said the. Oh no, never mind. Yeah.
What's not right about this?
No, I'm not saying that it's not.
Nah, you're good, bro. Just relax.
I'm narrating the video.
Bad.
I'm reading the captions out loud, bro.
Yeah, you're good. My bad. Sorry.
Oh, wait. I think he knows. If this model was even close to accurate, then how do you explain this? Or this?
Oh, I know how to fix it. We'll just make it 30 times as big, dude. Easy.
The sick feeling you have in your stomach, that's because you have to tell me that both of these accurately depict the relationship of the Earth and the moon. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, to realize if you landed on this, Earth would shrink to that. And that a ball over 2,000 miles wide couldn't create a pinhole-sized shadow on that tiny Earth 240,000 miles away. So there's like inconsistencies with. I mean, what?
Yeah, I don't know that part. I have a problem with, but
Because what they have is they have the moon relative to like an ECI frame not moving. The Earth is rotating, and then both are uniformly moving around the sun, and the position of the sun relative to the moon and the Earth that are not moving apart from each other is somehow changing.
The ECI
yeah,
frame,
but those
It would be as
mathematicians
it
posing as physicists or
it
whatever.
would be like what they've done is they've made the Earth the center axis of rotation, and they've got the sun revolving around them. That's how they've modeled it.
yeah, and I kind of get that, but the scales are also off.
Well, that's how it is in
I mean,
reality. So you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if your presupposition is like the moon is that close, you know what I mean? Then that doesn't make sense. If your presupposition is the moon is that far from the Earth, and the Earth is that far from the sun, that little shadow by the eclipse, it kind of makes sense, I guess, in a way. But I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
In this, look, you've got an Earth that's not moving; it's only rotating. You've got a moon that's not moving. The only thing that's actually moving relative to the Earth is the light source, right? If you
Well, unless they're rotating around it, but yeah.
revolving, right? But if these were revolving around the sun, then the reference angle between them, like a straight line between them and the sun, that would change. However, why is the moon not moving?
Well, that's just the perspective of the video. I mean, and the explanation, I think, is like the tidal walk, right? Like the Earth, or I'm sorry, the moon's rotation is the same rotation as it orbits around the Earth. That's why we can look up with a telescope. We can always see the same craters.
Hey,
So,
Verdak,
I mean,
can you maybe get a little closer to your mic?
oh, sorry.
You're just a little. I have you turn up all the way, and you're a lot quieter than everyone else. If you can't do anything about it, no problem. It's just a question.
Because if we look up in the sky, if we imagine this right here, this picture right here is like the sun, and then this arrow right here is the moon, and we see the moon coming from the right, moving to the left, coming across the sun, right? Because that's what we see. Well, if we see the moon coming from the right, moving across the sun to the right edge is going to have the left edge of the moon over it. It's gonna move right to left, and the shadow's gonna move from left to right. That's what it should do, relative to looking at us on the ground, right? Because
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, because again, like the perspective is on the moon's surface, right?
well, the
So,
perspective was
yeah.
behind the moon. It was like in between the moon and the sun.
Oh, I got you. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, the point is that they never show a model where you can see all three bodies at the same time, where the Earth is rotating in the correct direction and the moon is moving slower than the Earth is rotating. And
Even though it's required for every so-called intersection of lunar eclipse, it has to line up. All three they say have to line up every time, and they've never fucking shown it.
yeah, there's no 3D model that shows all three at the same time.
Dude, that's a great find. Which one was it? The 2017 solar?
Yeah, I mean, I can drop this. It's from the Potter's Clay. Have you ever seen this guy's channel before? I don't know if he makes
Yeah.
stuff anymore.
Yeah, I don't think he makes anything anymore, but I have seen him. I'm sub to him, I think.
Yeah,
He's
it was.
awesome. He's got some awesome.
He used to be one of my
content.
favorite. Yeah, he used to be one of my favorite content makers. Oh man, he made a part 3,
Oh snap!
and then he made a final. Wow, what's the part 3, bro? Hold on, let me just skip this one real quick. Just Neil deGrasse talking. Oh my gosh, is he gonna model it? Hold on. See. Okay. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that I don't know. That still looks like it's not the scale that Glover's
No,
really
he's making a
using.
point about the speed of the shadow and the size of
Oh,
the
I
shadow.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's making a point that like if we actually lived on a spinning globe, eclipse shadows would move east to west at almost 1,000 miles an hour, not west to east. Right? It's like it's not us rotating; it's the other way around. The sky's rotating around us. Computers, okay. Saying computer software can't even show this eclipse correctly. I mean, the scale's not perfect, right? But like,
Yeah, let's see what they do.
well, it's got the shadow moving east to west. How exactly does an eclipse go from west to east?
Sun's moving.
Yeah, bro, the sun's moving.
Very easily, right?
The light is moving,
But I mean,
and the
we're
Earth
moving
isn't.
around the sun. I mean, I don't know.
Watch. Let's model it real quick. Oh, oh, oh,
Oh, look, and it
oh!
doesn't have to create a shadow smaller than its physical size, which is physically impossible.
Oh my gosh. West to east. Man. Wow. And look, the shadow's like the size of the body too.
Yep.
Yeah. It's amazing how simple it is, right, dude? It's like it's freaking crazy, dude. Like you can't they don't have any animations. There's no 3D models that exist that show all three bodies, that show the sun, moon, and Earth at the same time, that have the Earth rotating in the correct direction and have it rotating faster than the moon is orbiting, that correctly model the shadow direction.
Dude, and again, the dude who predicts all the things to do with eclipses for NASA, Fred Espenak, had nothing to do with those models because he specifically only made map. He's like, here's where it will appear based upon the input GPS long last system that everyone has to use. Here's where it will appear. What will cause that in a physics 3-body system? He had no effing idea.
Oh, this is the best
Wow.
version. So this is he took all 4 videos or all 3 or whatever and cut the best parts out of them and made one 11-minute one.
Ooh,
So I'm gonna put this.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop that one and delete
Dude,
the other
that's
one.
awesome. Good find, man.
Yeah, good. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Piezo. Good stuff.
It's crazy how
worries.
relevant something from the past becomes when you like, have proper knowledge to like apply to it. And you're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, this is way more significant than just like the, it's not something you should let go.
Orion is tied to the equator in spite of all the motions of Earth. Oh, Shane's gonna like this playlist. Hold on. Whoops. Oh no. Well, I had it.
Dude, we have like 600 people on Twitter right now between us, by the way.
Yeah.
We're chilling. Yeah, chilling with us. Although we've been going for 2 hours still.
Here we go. Here, I'm gonna drop this playlist as well for you. My guy Shane. There you go, man. Unlocking Orion.
Nice.
Yeah. You talked about this before, right, Shane? The Orion is tied to the equator?
Yeah. The only one visible from everywhere on Earth all the time.
I mean, dude, it's like literally impossible because it would imply that somehow there's like a synchronization between the motion of the equator, with the Earth's rotation and the motion of like Orion's belt and then all the other motions other than the rotation, like, are either don't exist or are perfectly synced up as well. And in their paradigm, they can't say they don't exist. They'd have to be perfectly synced up, but that doesn't even make sense. Like, you're saying that the gyrating, the wobbling, the following of the precession around the sun and the sun's path through the solar system carrying the Earth, that Orion is doing all that stuff too. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's not possible.
But where's my Elmo gif? It makes perfect sense. Wobble, 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 baby. It's Elmo dancing on a freaking axis in space on the moon. It just says wobble, 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 because all the different wobbles you have to maintain to continue heliocentricity.
All right. Yeah, they used to say the ancient cultures or civilizations were retarded, right? I mean, well, yeah, they were just a bunch of dumb people that all felt the Earth was flat and that the stars moved around us.
Yeah, dude, after COVID, I clearly was like, but maybe we're the retardeds.
They knew a bunch of stuff. They built a bunch of crazy stuff, but they were dumb. They built stuff we could never hope to build today, but they were dumb, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up for tonight.
Oh, sorry, you guys are streaming. That's right. My bad.
No, you're good.
I'm just watching stuff, and y'all are along for the run.
Yeah, you're straight. So
usually how it goes with Pizio, though.
Yeah, you're good. So Sunday we're going to pick Brenner comps back up and read more of them. This was just to get a few relevant to some subjects in tonight, but look forward to that on Sunday where we'll be reading more of them. Toby, is there anything you want to throw in on the close?
It was kind of perfect the way it just seems like Brenner just seems to naturally spark a lot of conversations. So that was fantastic. So on Sunday, like Alan said, and like we mentioned earlier, we're going to do bring your own Brenner comps. So there's a ton in the live chat that have been shared, that level is shared. We'll drop it again, a link to Michael Brenner's profile. Go find one of his Quora answers if you want. I would recommend checking out all 432 of his Quora answers, but go and find one, pick one that you want to read, and bring it on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on the Ether Cosmology Discord server. We're going to go through and just all take a turn reading one, and we will be live streaming that just like we did here tonight. And of course, tomorrow, Space Audits and I believe Anti-Disinfo League will be streaming for Flat Earth Fridays. And also catch us next Monday, most likely for a space on Twitter, although the topic is to be determined. And then next Tuesday for another Ether roundtable, or actually, no, next Tuesday for Shane's debate with Ozian live on Debatism. And then afterwards, we'll be doing a live watch party together here on the Discord server. And then we'll be doing an after show afterwards to just go over the debate, or we'll keep some notes. And if there's anything that we want to cover in more detail, then things that we picked up on while we were watching, then we'll cover that just to make sure we can clarify anything or anything like that. So yeah, thanks again for being here, everybody, and please take